measure for man is what he does with power.
Since the beginning of our time on earth, we have let outside influence corrupt the mind of the innocent. Time and time again, we have proven ourselves capable of many things, such as love and hate, peace and war. Humans, flawed and reckless creatures, always looking for a faster way to earn a quick buck. For the longest time, human beings have been tested for centuries, regardless of whom they may step on to get it. The greediness of some of these humans has forced the hands of some of its own citizens to look for means to catch up to their peers, and even death was placed on the table in the name of coin. Such actions cannot go unchecked and unpunished by the gods of fate forever. Their sins must be answered for. Sadly, even the innocent cannot be spared from this cleansing. If 10 years ago you were given a time machine and you were asked what did you think led to the human race demise, a pandemic would have been the least likely answer to leave your lips. And yet here we are. So how did we get here? The meat industry has been on the rise for the past decade, with the consumption of meat at an all-time high. This has led a booming industry to take advantage of meat not found at your local retailer. They are known as wet markets. Wet markets host animals not normally accessible by normal means. Some of these animals are outright banned in some countries for either it being an endangered species or too dangerous for consumption. And because of these restrictions, wet markets are popular in areas where the government laws are more lax, and not many are as famous as the one found in Wulang, China. Due to the variety of animal species, such as monkeys, bats, and roosters, that some are willing to go the extra mile to get them, leaving many unaware of the dangers that was awaiting them. A concentration of animals in an enclosed area and stacked on top of each other in cages is a recipe for disaster, as most dangerous viruses that affect humans do originate from animals. And as we all know, the world will be plunged into darkness by a new pandemic known as COVID-19. The rise of COVID-19 has been a chain of avoidable events that were overlooked by most people and has had the chance to do the most damage to us at a global scale in recent history. Let's try to reimagine the journey that the COVID-19 took to go from a joke and a laughingstock by most people to be one of the most dangerous health risks the human race has ever faced. 6 months ago, the world awoke smiling again for the last time in a long time. A young hunter's action will set the world back a few years by no fault of his own. A bat resting after a long flight will get captured. Unable to flee, will succumb to his captor's trap, will later be sold to the highest bidder. A vendor that has no regard for the method used to obtain his merchandise, and a hunter whose heart knows money and nothing else. The vendor, thinking himself a trickster, will then triple the price of his merchandise to gain some profit from his customers. Meanwhile, behind him, hanging upside down, is the bat drawing his final breath. Slowly but surely, as the life seeps out of it, it will give the world a present filled with the pain it has just succumbed to. A starving pangolin below, bathing in his own feces, will at some point come into contact with the bat DNA. And with that union, the bat's virus will take its first step outside of its shell towards humanity. However, the same could not be said for the pangolin, as it would eventually have its appointment with the blade, passing to its killer the same gift it was given. Some may call this a curse instead. You see, the infected meat does not need to be eaten. Just handling it without proper protection is enough to doom the person it comes into contact with. The next 2 to 14 days are crucial. The virus makes its way to the immune system. When infected, symptoms such as dry cough, headache, fever, and sneezing are common. However, some have made past this period without any symptom. Unless tested for COVID-19, they would appear perfectly healthy. These are the most dangerous ones since they can spread the virus unknowingly. During those first 6 months, doctors were scared into silence about the outbreak. However, it did not stop some from conversating among themselves about the danger that was looming. As for those who did not obey these restrictions, they were dealt with severely. China is a tourist attraction for many every new year, gathering many from all corners of the world, making it the perfect remedy for a new virus to grow, and a nightmare for any society trying to contain its secret and flourish. Unsuspected, the people that did not show any symptoms at the time boarded their planes back home, by that act accelerating the virus efficiency from months to mere days. And just like that, humankind faced a new threat in an era it has not prepared for. As the news broke, many outside Wuhan stood watching. Many could not believe the warnings of a virus' ability to bring the world to its knees. Therefore, many carried on their daily routine by attending and migrating in large populations. Dismissing the virus as a hoax was even brought up by the elite. Oh yes, the virus would have said, if it could speak, it would make them eat those words in the weeks to come. 2020 was supposed to be the big step forward for many, especially after many years of knocking on the door. How could nature, which looks so peaceful, has been led so astray from the beautiful sunrise we see every morning? We were that sunset now. There were protests all over the world about equal rights. We were finally fighting for something. There has never been more millionaires in any era like the past decade has blessed us. The pot was finally being split almost evenly. The rag to riches story was becoming a common theme. That may sound like good news for most people, but not everyone would have shared that same sentiment. Rumor has it that in recent times people were getting wiser. The belief of relying on Big Brother for aid was becoming obsolete. The voices were becoming too loud and had to be put back on their place. Give them something they can't handle, they said, and they will crawl back and beg for the system to protect them, and thus believing in it as they had all those years ago. Some scream nonsense. It is obvious that the virus was engineered in a lab with population control in mind. Global resources had been shrinking for years, with no real solution in sight. With people living longer now than ever before, drastic measures were taken in favor to prolong our existence on this earth. They argue the fact that AIDS medication being effective against this virus proves it. Others believe we have strayed away too far from the holy teachings that were left behind by the gods. The lust for flesh, sins being cherished, and killings of our neighbors without any remorse and justification has dehumanized us. We are no longer worthy of this planet we call home. And this plague is the sign of the end of the days fast approaching us. A fitting punishment for our disrespectful ways, with Judgment Day now visible on the horizon. The political tension among countries has tickled the boiling point a few times over the past decade. Martial law practices are now in full effect. It's what the conspirators want us to believe. It is just a matter of time before all our rights are taken away from us permanently. Or it could just be nature taking everything back as it has always done to ensure its own survival. We have not been the best of guests after all. Regardless of what happens, one thing is for certain. If we do not put aside the things that have kept us separated and work together against this common enemy, we will not live long enough to get a chance to face the comet that is meant to end us anyways when the time finally comes. That's all, folks. See you on the next video.